All right, guys, Dr. Thomas back again, and I'm getting rid of these messages I get. I'd like to say terrible words, but I'd get in trouble. So I'm back at you again. We're continuing onward with our discussion of leukocytes, white blood cells. Protect the body against infection, inflammation. Phagocytes are phagocytic, means they gobble things up. Neutrophils and monocytes are phagocytes. Neutrophils, most common. Monocytes are huge, the biggest. They can hunt or sense infection in tissues by chemotaxis. They pick up on chemicals being released by damaged tissues. Can leave the blood vessels. They can actually go out through the pores of the blood vessels and out into the body. It's like Pac-Man. They gobble them up. Mainly, guys, monocytes are famous for being phagocytic. Squeezing out of the cells is called diapedesis. I'm doing this in the evening, so I'm the first time ever I'm experimenting to see how the lighting looks. Okay. In a course like this, guys, if it were me, I would not teach granulocytes and agranulocytes, but okay. The most common of all the 5 white blood cells are neutrophils, 50 to 60. They fight bacteria, bacterial infections. The granulocytes will stain purple with a stain. Basophils are the least common. They make up less than 1%. They play a role in inflammation. Basophils play a role in inflammation. Eosinophils make up 3%. They play a role in allergic responses and allergies and parasitic infections. These stains, guys, I'm not sure what to tell you. It'd probably make a good test question, so I don't have these memorized. Basophils apparently stain blue with a basic stain. Eosinophils red with acidic stain. And neutrophils a pale purple with neutral stains. Okay, here's platelets. I don't know why they have them in here. And red blood cells. Again, the granulocytes have this granular appearance. Mononuclear leukocytes, let's see. Large, again, they're showing all of them. Okay, all right. Lymphocytes and monocytes have more than one, have one nucleus, okay? Again, the monocyte's the big one. Lymphocytes, guys, are real important. They're what fight viral infections. There are different kinds of them. We'll probably get to that here in a little while. Now, I'm all for mnemonics and things. They help learn things. I think this one is stupid, but if it helps you, fine. I would just learn the silly things. Neutrophils, bacteria, lymphocytes, viruses. Monocytes, big, huge, phagocytic. Eosinophils, parasitic and allergic. Basophils, inflammatory response. And here are the 3 granulocytes. Okay, platelets, also known as thrombocytes. Either term is fine. Tiny fragments of blood cells that form in the bone marrow from megakaryocytes. The megakaryocytes are the parent to the thrombocytes, and they break up. Lifespan of 5 to 9 days. Function prevent blood loss. Key role in hemostasis or blood clotting. Blood clotting is a very complicated process, but the platelets play the first big role in it. Okay, a CBC is known as a complete blood count. You can use the word CBC all day long. Everyone knows what it means. Provides information about blood composition, shows percentage of the different white blood cells. Now, actually, this is incorrect, and this is correct. A CBC will tell you how many white blood cells there are. To get a breakdown of the 5 different kinds, you have to do a differential count, or a diff count. This is super important. You need to memorize it right now. CBC, complete blood count, tells how many cells there are. A differential count, which has to be ordered in addition. Of course, the doctor does that. Shows the percentage of each type of white blood cell. And it's often called a diff count. We need a CBC with a diff count. That kind of thing. Hemostasis, prevention of blood loss. Vascular spasm means the blood vessels can spasm. Remember, they have smooth muscle in them. Platelets plug it up. And coagulation is the more appropriate term for blood clotting. So here we got a bleed. Platelets plug it up. The blood vessel spasms up. to help shut it off. Formation of a blood clot. Now, we need blood clots, guys. They're not always a bad thing, but they also kill a lot of people, too. Stage 1, let's see, prothrombin activator. Stage 2, prothrombin changes into thrombin, which in turn changes fibrinogen into fibrin. And these fibrin go in there and form the clot. Now, guys, I know this is complicated. PTA, prothrombin activator, changes prothrombin. Pro means before. Prothrombin thrombin requires calcium platelets, chemicals, PTA. Thrombin activates fibrinogen to form fibrin, and fibrin is what actually makes the clot. That sounds terribly complicated, guys, but actually when you get to look at it, it's not terribly so. Fibrinolysis, clot breakdown. Now, as important as it is to form a clot, it's also important to break them down. Plasminogen is activated to plasmin. And then plasmin starts breaking down the blood clot. Fibrin degradation products. Okay. Blood clots kill a lot of people. Guess why? Well, they're a major factor in heart attacks, and they're a major factor in strokes. And that's the number one killer in westernized and wealthy industrialized countries. Only thing next is cancer, and I think it'll surpass it eventually. Formation of a blood clot, clotting cascade. Injury produces prothrombin activator, PTA. PTA activates prothrombin to form thrombin. Thrombin activates fibrinogen to form fibrin. Fibers which form the clot. Yeah, I think you can get that down. Now, anticoagulants are substances that prevent blood from clotting. Natural mechanisms prevent clot formation. Endothelium is the name of the lining of blood vessels. Secretion of heparin. Now, heparin is found in the body, but it's also a medicine that a lot of people take too to thin their blood. Why? Because what I just said, guys. Blood clots and strokes are the leading killer. If we can treat these people who are in potential risk at that and thin their blood out, there's less chance that they'll develop a clot. There are a number of anticoagulant medications. Also remember that, well, no, we haven't said this. Basophils produce heparin also. Drugs that affect clotting, anticoagulants, heparin, very common. Coumadin, big time. A lot of people out there taking Coumadin. Prevents the formation of prothrombin, is what it does. Also, once you have a clot, there are drugs that they can give you to help break them down. Fibrinolytic or clot buster drugs, tissue plasminogen activator. Okay, we've gone through a lot of stuff, guys. You should be proud. We're going to talk about blood types now. There are 4 blood types in human being: type A, type B, type AB, and type O. O is the most common, which is what Dr. Tom has, and AB is the rarest. Type A has the A antigen on it. Type B has the B antigen on the surface of the red blood cell. Type AB has both. Type O doesn't have either one. I don't want to get into this plasma stuff right now. We need to learn the blood types first. Of course, before you can receive a transfusion, it has to be typed. You have to make sure you're given the proper one. Type O can take it from anybody. No, can be given it to anybody because it doesn't have either of the antigens on it. So type O can be given to the other 3. Type AB can receive blood from anybody because it's got both of the antigens to protect it. Guys, if somebody has type A and you give them type B, it can set up a response and end up killing them because the body recognizes that type B antigen as a foreign substance. Okay, an antigen is anything that makes you sick, like a virus is an antigen. Antibodies form to it. That's what the vaccine does for the COVID-19, for example, is it triggers a process in our body to make antigens that will attack the virus in case you get exposed to it. Blood clumps in response to interactions between antigens and antibodies. Now, also, too, these A antigens and B, they're also antigens. So an antigen is not always a pathogenic organism. This basically goes over what I just said quickly. Okay, type O is called the universal donor. Why? Because it doesn't have any antigens at all. Anti-A and anti-B antibodies of all our blood types have no antigen to attack. So type O can be safely donated to all recipients. You guys will type your own blood. Those of you that are in the MA program, for example, when you get in your clinicals. It's actually quite easy to do. You have a little substance you add to it, you stir it up, and if it causes a reaction. Okay, type AB is the universal recipient. We touched on this. Since it doesn't have anti-A or anti-B antibodies in the plasma because it's got both antigens. Type AB has no antibodies, so it can take blood from anybody. It's also the rarest. Now, in addition to that, we have the RH system. Now, you've all heard of someone saying, I have O positive. That means I have O type and I test positive for the RH factor. So there's A positive, B, AB, and O positive. If you don't have it, you're a negative, type A, type B negative, type AB. This also has to be typed as well. RH negative persons initially have no anti-RH antibodies in their blood, but develop an exposure to RH factor. Now, for transfusions, this has to be matched up properly, guys. Not just the type, but also the RH factor. There's also a problem sometimes if the mother has a different RH factor than the fetus. It can set up this erythroblastosis fetalis, which can be a real problem. Of course, they test for all that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dr. Tom, how can a fetus have a different blood type than the mother? Well, it's because it's a different person, man. The blood don't mix. Everything takes place in the placenta and the umbilical cord. Think, man. You got to think. I'm teasing with you. All right. If you have this RH incompatibility in pregnancy, mother's RH negative, baby's RH positive blood moves from baby to the mother, enough of it that it sets up a reaction. Normally, the blood doesn't mix, but apparently there's a small amount. Mother develops anti-RH antibodies which attack the child. Can be prevented by administering whatever this is to the mother within 72 hours after the birth. They used to have to do a complete transfusion many years ago, but now they got other ways. There's the erythroblastosis fetalis. This would likely be a real good test question, guys, so I would anticipate that you need to know this. This is a situation where the mother's negative, the fetus is positive, and it sets up a situation where the fetus is attacked, basically, by the blood of the fetus. We're finished already? All right. I just go full bore, guys, as fast as I think I can do it. You can understand it, and then just hope for the best. These videos have 15 minutes. Are the maximum time that you can use. And we've used 13 of it. What blood does? It also carries a lot of heat throughout the body too, guys. This is real important. Plasma is the liquid portion of blood, makes up 55%. Formed elements are the red blood cells, make up 45%. You must know these terms. The buffy coat is the little thin layer of white blood cells. This is after you centrifuge it. If you just take a tube of blood, actually it will settle out over time, but if you put it in a centrifuge, it'll separate like this. Plasma, water, electrolytes, iron, waste, plasma proteins. Again, serum, very important word. Write it down, learn it, do it, memorize it, be it, live it. It's the plasma minus clotting factors. And all the tests and stuff. Like you'll see commercials for Cheerios. If you eat Cheerios every day, your serum cholesterol will improve. That kind of thing. Here it is again. What are the formed elements of basically red blood cells? But what's this little thing called? The buffy coat. Why such a goofy name? I don't know, man. I lay awake at night worrying about things like that. Okay, where do blood cells originate at? In the red bone marrow. This is incorrect. They are trained in the lymphoid tissue, specifically the thymus gland posterior to the sternum. The lymphocytes, those are called T lymphocytes, by the way. They undergo a magnificent processing that we don't even begin to understand. All of them come from the hematopoietic stem cell, usually the red blood cells, the various white blood cells, and platelets. If you don't have enough red blood cells, or you don't have enough hemoglobin in the red blood cells, or enough iron in the hemoglobin in the red blood cells, you can have anemia. There's a number of different kinds. We're almost out of time. Okay, we're finishing up. memorize all this stuff? Dr. Tom,